All right, welcome back. We have Barstool Units, episode 53. I'm Coach Doug's. With me, as always, the Honorable Frank the Tank Fleming. Frank, how you doing?
Uh, you know, I'm now more convinced than ever my sports teams are forever cursed. I'm the only team that the Nets, Brooklyn Nets, the only super team that's ever going to miss the playoffs. Kevin Durant came back last night, and they're still lifeless. They're still listless. They got terrible coaching. Kyrie can't play half the games, and you got this a mayor that's really just like doesn't want to doesn't want to give him special attention. Make an example out of him.
He really is making an example out of him. And when we know this because he said pretty much the rule is stupid and it doesn't even apply to him. However, he's still not going to allow him to play. We talked about this. So the Brooklyn Nets, New York City has basically stated that if you work in New York City and you're not vaccinated, you can't go to work. Now, they've now removed that. Basically, the Nets are in New York City, a company, and so therefore Kyrie Irving can't come to work because he's not vaccinated. However, they're removing that so that if you are not vaccinated, you can work. You can actually go to work with the New York City company. Kyrie Irving does not live in New York City. He lives in New Jersey, so he's a non-resident. And they're also lifting the mandate. So even if he did, he would still be able to come in. However, he's not able to.
And of March 7th, he would be able to actually attend the games. He just can't play in the game. It is as asinine as anything's ever been asinine. The Nets are a disaster. They are not even going to make the slide's never going to end. They were the best team in the East on New Year's Day. Now they're ninth. They're now 500. They basically won 5 of their last 21 games, and they're playing the red hot Celtics, who have in this stretch have beaten the Nets by 40 twice.
Well, I'll say this. So New York City allows for Kyrie Irving could play. However, there's some caveats. New York City says he can come to work. However, he's going to have to pay a fine. So they're not saying he's going to get arrested. He would just have to pay a fine, which the Nets would pay. However, the NBA has said they're going to follow whatever the local governments say. And so for that reason,
Adam Silver. Now this is on Adam Silver.
Exactly. Adam Silver has said the NBA we're not going to go against anything, which means even if we could do it and pay the fine, we're not going to do that.
And here's the crazy thing: what even blows my mind even further. Kyrie Irving can play for, let's say, the Orlando Magic, and if he came to Brooklyn as a member of the Orlando Magic, he would be allowed to play.
Yeah. And so this is a rule. This is a mandate that the New York City mayor has said is stupid. He acknowledges and admits that it is stupid. We have the commissioner of the NBA also acknowledging and admitting that it's stupid. And once this mandate is lifted, it shouldn't even apply to him. However, somehow it's still going to. The mayor has said he can't let him play. I don't know how that works out in a court of law. I don't understand how a mayor can say this doesn't apply to you, but I'm still going to apply it to you. I don't know how that follows through. However, Adam Silver is the commissioner of the NBA. He has made the decision that the Nets cannot play Kyrie Irving, even if they wanted to pay the fine. And so at this point in time, if he's not willing to step up as the commissioner, we know politicians are going to be politicians. They're dirtbags. But if Adam Silver, if the commissioner, but the commissioner has a duty to the league. If the commissioner is not going to step up and say, hey, Mayor Adams, go kick rocks, like not only are we going to allow Kyrie to play, but we will fight you on any fines you try and impose. If Adam Silver's not willing to say that, this is on Silver now. He has the ball is in his court as they say.
Well, he's a spineless jellyfish.
You know, I know another commissioner who sucks. And soon the whole world will know he sucks, thanks to what we did on Monday, Frank, or was it Tuesday?
It was Wednesday, actually.
It was Wednesday.
You
My
know what?
God, week.
You know what? Get back to the pandemic stuff for a second. We're seeing now some easing of mandates, mask mandates are ending, and there are people out there actually protesting,
Yeah,
wanting the mandates to go on forever, for life. You know, and these are the people who are actually are driving Kyrie being banned and not being allowed to play. And I think that I think the name we should give them is Pandemics, because they are actually fans of the pandemic. They actually love the lockdowns. They love the restrictions. I think if they could, they would get daily booster shots. I think they want, like, I think they actually wear the mask to bed. You know, you know what would really keep them safe? Sleep inside a plastic bag. That way, there'll be no threat of them ever getting any virus again.
yeah. It is. It's amazing to see how quickly it turns from follow the science, follow the science, follow the science. Well, okay, well, the science says the masks don't really do anything unless they're a specific mask. And even those have to be, changed out every day or two to no, we still need mask mandates. We need mandates. We need mandates. It's control. It's power. I'm honestly surprised. We saw the video. There were people out. I think I'm not sure where exactly they were. They were somewhere in New York City on some courthouse steps, and they were singing. What was like to the tune of "Mary Had a Little Lamb" or something, or a Twinkle Little Star.
Farajaka.
Fair.
Mass for everyone, mass for you, mass for me,
Yeah.
mass for elderly, mass for children, every unit ever. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Just because you're tired doesn't mean it's over. Yeah. So I'm honestly surprised that they had the courage to step outside their house. Like, what are you doing outside? Like this, but again, it went from follow the science to, oh, okay, well, hey, science says this. Oh, no, we need mask mandates. It's
Well, like I said, they are fans of the pandemic. I think the term pandemic. Yeah, you said it first, but it was in my head.
I appreciate that half credit. I will, but I will take half credit for that.
Well, I was trying to come up with the perfect name: pandemic fans, pandemic fanatics, and
Yeah.
my third one I was about to say before you said, how about pandemic? Pandemics.
Yeah. It's here's the thing. What percentage of the population are hypochondriacs?
Well, I know one.
We all know one. I mean like real honest like hypochondriacs, like where it like it's bad.
I think that we probably have there's probably about a 3 to 5%
Okay, and so there's
hypochondriac.
8 million people in New York City,
Yeah,
right? And so let's see, 3% of a million would be what, 3,000?
yeah,
So
something
three
like that.
times eight, that means that there's 24,000 if we said 3% of the population, that means there's 24,000 hypochondriacs in New York City. There were 20 people on that courthouse step saying like, we need mass forever. What are the odds that like this is not, they are not, that is not a normal person. That is not a normal person talking about just because you're tired. Like, no, we're not tired just because we're tired. It's not a matter of it's been going on for so long. It's like, no, it's been going on for so long. And now it has been for a while, but now a majority of the people are seeing how ridiculous it is. And I tell you what, and going back to Mayor Eric Adams, he said it would he can't let Kyrie play because it would send the wrong message. So he's worried about sending the wrong message to who? Because the message he is sending is that, hey, here is a mandate that I acknowledge doesn't make any sense. However, I'm still going to make sure that it gets passed. I'm still going to make sure that it's put through. I'm
Now
still
they did.
I'm still going to enact it.
Politicians really are the absolute worst. You know. On the scale of elites, I think we should have prostitutes and then politicians.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with sex workers. Units are just
I
fine with sex workers.
I mean I would trust a prostitute more than I would trust any politician.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
and
And
many
unless you're
ways are one, many ways are one and the same. I mean,
yeah,
they lie to your face, and in the end they fuck you.
but that's what you're paying the prostitute for. But hey, that's New York City, right?
Life in a big city.
Life in the big city, big city living. Well, even Jersey, the Prudential Center, unless the artist says it has to be done, the Prudential Center is going to be mask free,
Now I know there's actually a couple of artists out there that basically demand that they want masks.
and that's fine. That's
Yeah.
that's fine. If you want to go see them in concert and you're willing to wear a
And
mask, and go for it. No one's stopping you.
if you're a fan of that artist and that artist wants that, then that actually is fine. Meanwhile, I know there's artists out there that will basically say, if you have a mask mandate, uh, call me when your mask mandate's gone, and I won't perform.
Yeah, I do love those where it's a lot of times when you hear that, you're like, well, I don't think anyone was going to that concert anyway. It's kind of like, remember years ago, what? Oh yeah, that was when Mike Pence got called out at the end of Hamilton. Like Mike Pence, when he was vice president, he went to see Hamilton, and at the end of the show, everyone came on stage. All the
Yeah, I
artists,
remember that.
and they called him out and everything, and people booed him. And I remember everyone on the right was saying, "Well, now we're not going to go see Hamilton." And it's like, were you really going to see Hamilton? I don't think you can't really boycott something you weren't really going to go to see anyway.
Well, what happened last time Hamilton said bad things to vice president?
Yeah,
Didn't work out too well.
in New Jersey.
Weehawken.
Yeah, actually, and I've seen Hamilton on Disney. I enjoyed it. Have you watched Hamilton?
Yes, I did.
The King was my favorite character.
Oh, the king was so arrogant. He actually stole the show. How arrogant and
Yeah,
his attitude.
Bach. Yeah, it's well, and it really it breaks it nicely because like the whole thing is dramatic, and then it's like little fun pomp and stance. Just the king comes out and he's got this huge crown and robe and everything, and
Yeah.
it's so yes. But anyway, going back to it, yeah, there's always artists that are the artists that come out and say, oh, if there's a mask mandate, it's like, I don't know how many tickets you were really selling anyway.
Yeah, well, I think Kid Rock actually is.
Some of them, obviously. There's the people that catch up, that try and like hang on to it when it's not really theirs.
Well, of course, we have our own king right now, who is a pompous fucking ass. Uh, an actual fraudulent man, a man fraud.
He's a bum, Frank. He's a bum. In the not nicest way possible. He controls everything right now in baseball, and he smiles. He smiles as he's announcing that
he's announcing that the season's probably not going to be played. He smiles.
There's a few things. So the 10 comment referring to the championship trophy of the league you are commissioner of as a piece of 10 in a pejorative way, and smiling as you announce that there will be less of the sport because of what you've done or your inaction, should I say? Because what, they didn't talk for 42 days, something like that?
The lockout began December 2nd. They did not have their first meeting for 43 days. They met sporadically over the next month. No real full face-to-face meetings until the week before his self-imposed lockout, the deadline. And then he has his little pipsqueak, Bob Nightingale. If Bob Nightingale tells you it's gonna that the everything's gonna be fine tomorrow, that the asteroids is gonna miss the Earth, don't look up. It's the asteroids coming.
Yeah.
If Bob Nightingale says the sun is gonna be fine, it's not gonna blow up, expect the sun to blow up.
And Frank, I'm going to give you some shit here. The protest was originally scheduled for Tuesday, right?
Well, we did it right. We did it right.
No, we absolutely did it right. It worked out. It worked out. It worked out because we did wait for the official cancel.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to wait for. That's what I wanted to wait for. As long as they were meeting on Tuesday, we couldn't go out there Tuesday. We had to wait until.
However,
happened
on Tuesday, your main source was Bob Nightingale.
Well, he was the one that was like on that was up at up at 1 o'clock in the morning reporting everything that was going on, and he basically said that they were his exact quote is they're on third base.
Yeah, they're on third base. However, shoot, I want to say this right. Hold on. Pause here. So for everyone at home, pause while we think of this real quick. Frank, who's the Mets' old manager?
Luis Rojas.
Yeah. Okay. Time in. Yeah, he was saying you're on third base. However, the third base coach is Luis Rojas.
Well, that's going to be bad for the Yankees if they actually play this year.
And which brings it up, and I hate to do this. I feel like this whole episode has become about Tommy now with hypochondriacs and now this. I think Tommy may be on the commissioner's side.
Oh, he is. Because the Yankees are basically the engine's on fire, and or maybe I should say it like this: they are the director. They got their nice little mustache. They're saying full speed ahead. And the guy says, there might be an iceberg out there. He goes, no, we've got to be in New York by Tuesday. Full speed ahead. And then when they crash, he puts on a kerchief and a hat and he sneaks on the lifeboat. That's what the Yankees are right now.
So you think the Yankees are a dying organization?
This is a team that has not had a losing season in 30 years. Their payroll is structured poorly, and Hal Steinbrenner has now become one of the guys who want to lower the salary threshold. And his big reasoning is he has to pay Aaron Judge next year, and they're stuck with the albatross of the Giancarlo Stanton contract. Which that trade actually now is coming out roses for the Marlins. Because he cannot play the outfield. He is a DH. And it seems like he's always one swing away from being out 2 months with an abdomen injury. He's able to hit a lot of home runs, but he's spent a lot of time on disabled list. Cannot play the outfield. And the Yankees have about 4 or 5 players on their team that should not be in the playing positions. They're DHs. They're power slugging DHs. They have no on-base guys. They have one starting pitcher that's reliable. They have a closer who's losing it. He's not as good as he used to be in Aroldis Chapman. And they have like a lot of like spare parts in between. They're kind of held by tape that if everyone performs well, they can win a World Series. But if like 1 or 2 players don't perform up to expectations, that ship is going to sink, and it's going to sink fast.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in. So I feel, I mean, that's really the case with a lot of things. You know, there's people don't realize, just kind of like the Titanic, people don't realize how everything is being held together until one thing snaps. As long as everything is casual, as long as everything's going okay enough, then everything's fine. But as soon as one little string comes undone, then you start to notice all the dominoes that fall around you. Now, you mentioned Aaron Judge's contract. Basically, he's still on his rookie contract, right?
Yes.
How much?
Well, he's not under the baseball is structured differently. He's had his arbitration eligibility.
Okay,
This year is his last year before he could become a free agent.
gotcha. And what are the implications? So you mentioned his salary. I mean, is his salary going to be such an extreme amount that it causes Steinbrenner, who is, I mean, worth billions of dollars, to question anything?
Yes, and it's basically because they're stuck with John Carlos Stanton.
How much is Aaron Judge supposed to get next year?
We're probably talking 25 million and up. I
I,
mean, not this season, but he probably will be one of these guys that get like a 300 million contract when next year
over
after
10 years?
yeah like an 8, 9, 10, 11 year contract over 300 million.
Does
And
he
the
have
players
nine?
now what?
Does Aaron Judge have 9 years in him? Isn't he injured every season?
That's another thing. Well, he was healthy last year, but that's another thing. He is a lot like John Carlos Stanton. Long, tall players who are sluggers, right-handed sluggers. Yankees used to build their team around left-handers, and now the Yankees have like players. They have a lot of free agents too. There are like 200 something free agents that are unsigned, and whenever the season, if there ever is an agreement, they they have a major scramble to get players signed, move five, and it's going to be a fucking mess. That's where not meeting for 43 days really catches up to them. And the fact that now it's going to cost, I think best case scenario, the season starts on Memorial Day, but I literally think there will not be a season. This is reminds me so much of 2004, 2005 NHL season.
And the fallout from that was not just no season, not just a lack of a season, but you have all the people that work for the teams, like the blue collar workers.
Oh, they never care about them. Nobody gives a fuck about them.
Yeah, well, not the owners, right?
Oh, especially not the owners.
Yeah, but you have people that work in the stadiums. You have marketing, you have merchandising, you have ticket sales, you have concessions. Um, all that, all those jobs, just right after a pandemic, just right when we're coming out of it, right when we're
Yep.
like full steam ahead, like we're back to normal, like actually
Yes.
back to normal, and then baseball's canceled.
Yep. Well, Rob Manfraud has ulterior motives. He wants to restructure baseball. He wants eventually the baseball to be 7 innings. He wants to cap games at 2 to 3 hours. He wants to actually put a clock on games, where basically if a game goes over 3 hours, that inning that it's in will be the last inning. I mean, changing the whole fucking tenor of the sport. He wants to make bigger bases. He wants uh, he wants to get rid of the American League and National League, Major League Baseball East and Major League Baseball West.
Yeah. Now you mentioned there the bigger bags, the bigger bases. I've seen that a couple times tweeted out. What is the purpose of that? Just you're less likely to get out if it's a bigger, like if you're stealing second, or you're going to, is it, if the bag is bigger, you get to it sooner, so it's not.
All right, I don't understand why.
I
Baseball,
haven't, no one's been able to explain to me what the purpose of that is.
I I don't either. I mean,
Yeah. All right. Well, so here's the question. So Rob Manfraud, commissioner of baseball, um, he's not doing his job. If there's not an agreement made where everyone's happy, then I feel like the commissioner's not doing his job. Maybe I'm being too hard on that. Maybe it's a possibility he's not doing his job to the full extent. But why have him as a commissioner if you're the owners? He's there to protect the owners' profits, right?
Well, yeah, the commissioner's role has changed from being that guy that looks out for the best interest of sports to being now the owner's mouthpiece.
And so, with that being said, if the commissioner is the owner's mouthpiece and the commissioner is smiling when when games are canceled, are we saying that the owners are happy that games are being canceled?
Yes, yes. Especially you have owners like Bob Nutting in Pittsburgh, the Diamondbacks owner, the Reds owner, Artie Moreno, who's worth $3 billion, owner of the Angels.
Well, let's talk about that because so you mentioned who's worth $3 billion?
The owner of the Angels, Artie Moreno.
Okay, so the owner of the Angels, Artie Moreno, worth $3 billion. Is that $3 billion on top of owning the Angels, or is owning the Angels the three is why he's worth $3 billion?
No. That's his personal wealth.
But is that his personal wealth, like his net worth, because he owns the Angels?
No, that's separate.
So he owns that. So how much are the Angels worth?
Angels would probably be worth in the $2.5 billion range.
So the Moreno's worth $5 billion.
Yeah,
that's what we need to get, because in an old interview, I think with I don't know, some economics magazine, somebody asked Mark Cuban. They said, Mark Cuban, you have $3 billion. Like his worth was $3 billion, and he owns the Dallas Mavericks. And because they were basically asking him, how much would you sell the Mavericks for? And Mark Cuban said he wouldn't sell them. And basically the reporter asked, even for $3 billion. And Mark Cuban's response was, I already have $3 billion and the Mavericks. You have owners. If he sold, what would he would just he can't spend the money he already has. You have owners who are worth billions of dollars. It doesn't matter there's no reason, there's no incentive for them to sell.
You know, you want to talk about owners who actually do positive things, and that's Mark Cuban. The Dallas Mavericks were the worst team in the NBA throughout the 1990s. I talk about the Nets inglorious 10-72 season. The Mavericks, like 1991, 92, 93, had back-to-back seasons where they were like 10-72 and then 11-69. No, yeah, 10-72 and then 11-71, like back-to-back seasons where they had like only barely won 10 games. And they actually were owned briefly by Ross Perot's son. They had a team that they got a bunch of rookies, Jason Kidd, Jamal Mashburn, and I think it was Jimmy Jackson. And they got involved in like a weird relationship with Toni Braxton, where she was dating all three of them at one time, and then they were fighting over her. And then they got traded them. They were a mess for a long time. They made a draft day trade, trading this big guy, big basketball player, really fat guy, a unit on the court named Robert Tractor Trailer. They drafted him. His name was Robert Trailer, but everyone his nickname was Tractor Trailer.
Nice.
Went to Michigan. And it was a draft day trade. I forgot who it was. Might have been Milwaukee. And they traded him for this unknown German guy. and this unknown German guy ends up becoming one of the greatest NBA players of all time. Uh, they trade Jason Kidd to the Suns and get Steve Nash, and they slowly began to turn things around. And when Mark Cuban brought the team, they were probably one of the 5 lowest valued franchises in the NBA and one of the lowest valued franchises throughout the 4 major sports. And now he's turned them into a perennial playoff contender. He's made it that players want to go to Dallas because of how he treats his players. And he's really just changed everything. Mark Cuban, in every way, is what an owner should be.
There you go. He was actually in the office, I believe, last week. I didn't get a chance to say hello, but yeah, we've talked about it here before, where owning a sports team used to be, oh, you're the local millionaire. You're the only one that can really do this. You're the only one that it's a toy. And it's something fun to do with your money, and also make some money if you're good at it. And it's no longer like that. It's become it's no longer a toy to have fun with. It is a status symbol, even if you don't care about it. The status symbol is owning the team, not having a good team. We need to make, and I don't know how you could do it, but we need to make the status symbol being having a good team.
Yep. There was an owner one time who actually was not very wealthy. He just had enough money and was always able to find investors. And his father was like president of the Cubs, and he had a little bit of money. His father died. He tried to buy the Phillies, and he got blocked because he opened his mouth. He should have not said what he said. He opened his big fat mouth while Kennesaw Mountain Landis was still alive. And the Phillies had the owner had a gambling scandal. The league had to take the Phillies, and this guy wanted to buy the Phillies, and he opened his big fat trap. If he didn't open his big fat trap, Jackie Robinson wouldn't be the guy we talk about. We'd be talking about people like Satchel Paige and Cool Papa Bell. Yes, what he said was in 1941, he says, "I want to buy the Phillies and bring an all-star, bring up all the all-stars from the Negro Leagues," and they blocked him from becoming owner.
Really?
Yeah, and so he actually went to war, lost his leg, and then ends up buying the Indians. And when he buys the Indians, Larry Doby becomes the first black player in the American League, Satchel Paige, and they won a championship in 1948 with him as their owner. He had to sell the team the next winter because he got a divorce and had to sell it just to get the divorce settlement. He gets his finances restructured, and the owners hate him. The owners hate Bill Veeck. So he gets finances together, and he buys the St. Louis Browns. And then he starts doing these crazy promotions. He starts doing giveaways. This is how the stadium giveaway started. This is the first guy that, hey, you come to the stadium, here's a hat. Because the St. Louis Browns couldn't draw flies. Everyone was Cardinal fans. The St. Louis Browns are the worst organization in the history of baseball. First, he wanted to move to Los Angeles. They blocked him. Then he finally made a deal. The team's about to go bankrupt. He can't even hold any finance together anymore. So he sells the team. He gets ready to move to Baltimore. They said, "Okay, we'll allow you to move. We'll allow the team to move to Baltimore, but you have to sell the team." So a few years later, the Comiskey family has to sell the White Sox. There's a big dispute over how to split up the family fortune. The Comiskey's notoriously cheap, by the way. And so he buys the White Sox, keeps them afloat for about 5-6 years, but he doesn't have enough money to keep up with other owners. Decade later, he's actually asked to buy the White Sox again and holds them another 5 years before selling them. He couldn't even keep his finance together. He literally was like putting as much money as he could in the team, and he just couldn't keep up with free agency at the end.
Yeah.
But this guy was like the blue collar owner, and he literally just barely kept a living wage for himself and his family. And the rest he always put in his team and doing promotions and all. Of course, Disco Demolition Nights. He invented the exploding scoreboard, and people hated him. But then years later, they actually put him in the Hall of Fame and saying, gee, this guy really was a good owner. He really was a good guy.
Yeah. Well, now, when you say people hated him, you're referring to the other owners hated him. I'm sure the fans of the team loved him.
Oh, yeah. And after he sold the White Sox, he spent the rest of his life, and it wasn't too many years. He spent another 5. He died about 1985, 86. He would go to Cub games and sit in the bleachers. And this is when the bleachers were the bleacher bums. And he'd just take his leg off, take his shirt off, and just sit out there in just his shorts, sunning himself, watching the Cubs with the rest of the fans and getting drunk.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I feel like that is every like average American dream. Like if you're a guy and you've always wanted to own a sports team, like that's why you want to own a sports team. You know,
and Bill Veeck, he was moderately rich, and he couldn't own a team today. Today's billionaires. He was never a billionaire. He was not even close to a billionaire. I think maybe he's one of these guys that had like a couple of million here and there, and so he was never really, really rich. And then you have owners throughout the sports history that are bastards. Do you know why the Chicago Black Sox through the 1919 World Series?
I imagine it was money related.
Well, and how they actually got the name Black Sox. I always thought the name Black Sox came because they tarnished the sport.
Yeah, it's like a stain.
Yeah, the true origin of the name Black Sox is their uniforms are dingy and dirty because Charlie Kaminsky required his players to pay for the laundering of their uniforms. So they won the 1917 World Series. 1918 was kind of a fucked up year, shortened season because Major League Baseball had to end by Labor Day because of World War One. So they didn't go to the World Series. In 1919, they won the American League pennant again. They were expected to roll over the Reds. And they had a guy on the team named Eddie Sycott, who would have got a bonus if he won 30 games. And at the end of the season, Charlie Kaminsky ordered him to be kept out of the games so he wouldn't reach 30 wins. And when he won the pennant, they were expecting a bonus. And they said, here's your bonus. And it was flattened champagne. So they didn't get any bonuses, didn't get anything from Kaminsky. They got tired of Kaminsky basically jerking them around. So these gamblers came and said, you know what? Here's the money you deserve. And that's how that whole thing happened. And it's mainly because of Kaminsky's just cheapness.
Yeah.
And it's how cheap owners fuck everything up.
And that, that reminds me of, now obviously Byron Leftwich was supposedly in the running to be the Jaguars' next head coach. Byron Leftwich is loved by players, and one of the main stories going around him is when it comes to the end of the season, when there's a few games left, he goes around the locker room and asks, "Hey, if you have any contract points, if you have anything that you need to hit in order to get paid, in order to get a bonus, you let me know, and we will make sure you're in the game and you get those yards, you get those catches." That's a coach looking out for his players. I mean, on so many levels, that is the right thing to do. And apparently that's just not the way Shad Kahn wants to perform. We have Doug Peterson. I'm happy with him as a head coach. I think he's going to do well. However, when they brought him in, they said we were going to get like an executive vice president, someone that would basically remove power from Trent Baalke. A couple of days ago, Shad Khan basically said, Doug Peterson looks like he's doing well enough. I don't think we need an executive vice president. This is literally when people asked him, like, why are you not looking for a new GM? He said, why is Trent Baalke the person who nobody considers to be a legitimate GM as far as competency? Nobody considers him to be a legitimate GM. Why is he still there? And his response was he didn't want to do the work of hiring a new GM. Because if he goes, because there's things in place where if he has to get a new GM, he has to do a few things, and that interferes with his schedule on his battleship yacht in the damn Cayman Islands. This guy sucks, and I realize I'm going off topic here, so I'll end a little rant there. But basically, he said, "Hey, we're going to get Doug Peterson and an executive vice president." And then just a couple of days ago, he said, actually, Doug Peterson seems to be doing well enough. I trust him. It's like, no, you just don't want to do any work. And so when Shad Khan first came into the Jaguars, everyone was happy. Hey, because Wayne Weaver, who brought the Jaguars to Jacksonville with the ownership group, he got rich from shoe stores, like Shoe Carnival or, like a Payless type of shoe store. And like 579, like women's shoes. That's how he made his money. And so when Shad Khan came in, it was like, hey, now we have a billionaire owner. We're gonna be able to pay players and pay staff and coaches, and we're gonna be a real franchise up at the top. And it's just it hasn't been. We've had I think one winning season, 2017. We may have had another one or two winning seasons, but nothing like 2017 since Shad Khan's been in there. And it's been a joke. And he is basically the epitome of when I talk about owners who simply own a sports team as just to own it as a status symbol. I'm talking about Shad Khan. His son Tony Khan, who started AEW and just bought Ring of Honor. And I believe he runs part of the Jaguars organization and maybe even Fulham Football Club, which the Khans also own. Tony Khan may be a different story. He seems to be very passionate about wrestling, and the people in the wrestling organization or the wrestling community seem to appreciate him and his work. Maybe it'll be different if he gets the team one day. But as long as Shad Khan is the owner, it's a joke.
I'm actually beginning to think that Trent Baalke knows that Shad Khan's been to Epstein Island.
Yeah. There's something there because it is unfathomable to think. You know what? It's not what we've learned. I think what a lot of people learn from this pandemic is just because you have a lot of money. People have this mind. I don't know what it's called, but people have this mindset where they think, oh, this person made a lot of money in business A. They got wealthy by being a successful business person in this industry, and they extrapolate that and they say, well, if he's wealthy because he's a successful business owner, he must be very smart. He must know this as well. They throw accolades at them that they haven't earned. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. You can be an expert and you can be wrong. You can be wealthy and you can be stupid. You can be a good business person in one sector or one industry and not know what the hell you're doing in anything else. So people think, oh, he's successful, therefore they can do all these other things. And it's just not the case.
Yep. It's terrible. Bad owners ruin sports.
It's one of the
I
reasons
mean,
the smaller leagues like the USFL, when the owner said, hey, we're okay with small potatoes, like that's a fun league. You want to go to those games. You want to see, because it's a fun time. Maybe it's not the best football players out on the field, but you're going to walk away just like you're walking away out of a minor league game. I had a fun time. And that's why we watch sports.
I mean, I mean, I don't have fun watching the Nets right now. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about this before. The number one fan experience is how well the team is playing. If the team is winning games and they're seriously in contention year after year after year, I'll go to a crummy stadium. I'll deal with overpriced chicken tenders. I'll deal with an annoying announcer who screams and because his voice isn't deep and he screams and
Let's make some noise.
it's t-shirt time. It's like, and I think it's because we're on that level, Frank, where like the speakers are right there, but it's just it literally penetrates the eardrum and it's just so awful. But again,
I actually am starting to blame myself. They actually had open tryouts last year. I should have. I should have submitted a video.
yeah, Frank, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be. Do you think you could have? You think you could have done it?
The hell, yeah, why not?
I love the attitude, Frank. I love the yeah. Why not? Why not? Frank, let's do some. How would the tryout have gone? So what's two phrases that are always said in a hockey game?
Take the body.
No, I mean like an announcer and making an announcement.
It's a power play goal.
Love it. Okay, one more. Okay, so say it's t-shirt time. Now, it's t-shirt time. This is a segment. You don't have to use that phrase. You can come up with another phrase if you'd like. But it's t-shirt time. How do you announce that to the crowd?
Get on your feet. Wave your hands if you would want a Devils t-shirt.
I love it, Frank. I'm sold. We need to clip this and send it to the Devils. I'm in, Frank. You've sold me, and Frank, I think that's good. I think that's a good place to leave it off this week.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, that's Barstool Units episode, I believe 53.
Yes, that's right. And now we have 12 days. 12 days, Rob Manfraud. 12 days. You got 12 days to make a deal. Otherwise, we'll be outside your door.
We have given him his 2 weeks notice. From all of baseball fans, he is fired. And, we'll let him know in 12 days. He needs to go.
Yes.
We wish him not the best of luck in his future endeavors. We don't care where he goes, but he needs to get the hell out of here. That's Barstool Units episode 53. I'm Coach Doug's. With me as always, Frank the Tank. Please, Frank, take us out.
All right. I dedicate this song to Rob Manfraud. Were you born an asshole, or did you work at it your whole life? Either way, it worked out fine, 'cause you're an asshole tonight. I say ASSHOLE. Don't you try to put it on me. You're always an asshole, especially an asshole tonight. See you guys next week.
Make sure to click like, subscribe.
Like, subscribe, and continue to listen to the units.
See you next time.